All right, we're live. So just give a minute for anyone to join and cut off the beginning of this once the video is published. So I think we'll get started. So hi friends, and welcome to the webinar on public speaking. Now public speaking can be it can mean a lot of things. A class presentation, a competitive debate, like you're on the debate squad, emceeing an event, delivering a keynote, or anything in between, and they can all be daunting. So I've collected some tips that will hopefully make them less daunting. Before we begin, my name is mpenny. I'm the Digital Engagement Manager at NYLC. Now I've personally spoken in front of crowds of hundreds at events for AmeriCorps, the American Cancer Society, Students United here in Minnesota, and I was actually for a time a substitute host on a political AM talk radio show. And they all terrified me, and that's part of why I'm the one here talking to you. Not because I'm a President Obama caliber speaker, really quite the opposite, because I'm probably just as comfortable with public speaking as you are. And here I am speaking publicly. It's really possible. So let's get started, 1 through 10. 1, it's okay to be nervous. Use it. Your hands are going to shake, your voice is going to quiver. That fear, it's actually cortisol. It's a hormone that your body is releasing in response to stress. To get it under control, the best thing you can do, honestly, is to get moving. Light exercise, even dance, is a great way to get your hormone levels kind of under control and convert those nerves into positive energy that you can then use for your speaking engagement. Backstage, in a side room, or discreet hallway, whatever it may be, find a few minutes shortly before you speak, if you can, and kind of get the willies out. 2, you should prepare a lot. A lot of preparation is going to go a long way throughout every part of. You're going to see that note pop up as we go on to 3 through 10. So you want to create an outline, which I've done, and I'm actually reading from. I'm actually cheating and kind of not following one of my rules right now, but we'll get to that. You want to create an outline and make notes. Figure out all the things that you're going to say before you say it. You can write a script based on that outline and practice with your script, but then practice without it. The more you practice, the more you really get to know your subject backwards and forwards. And the easier it will be to find your way back on topic if you get lost in the moment while delivering your talk. And if you need your notes handy, that's perfectly fine, but leave your script at home. You're going to need the script to prepare, in my opinion, but you're not going to need it on stage or wherever you may be speaking. You should really know your material well enough so that it can sound extemporaneous and from the heart, because that's really where it should be coming from. Number 3, forget the PowerPoint. You'll notice that I've actually followed my own advice in this case. I have no PowerPoint, no notes of any kind. Oh, excuse me, not no notes. No notes for you to read, I should say. Or if you're going to have a PowerPoint, and you probably do, try to make the audience forget about it. It's great to have visual aids, especially if you need graphics or photographs in order to help convey your message, but overloaded slides with too much text, they're not going to enhance what you're saying. They're just going to distract. You want to keep the focus on the words that you're saying and let the PowerPoint support them minimally. So I'm driving the point home by having no PowerPoint here. And to the extent that you can do, go for it. Number 4, take it slow. I don't even know if I've followed this advice speaking, but I'm clearly trying to do it right now. But it's something that you really should do because you've got the cortisol running through you. You've got the nerves are up. Take breaths, count if you have to slow yourself down. Allow the audience to absorb what it is you're saying by giving them time to reflect on it. When you're talking, don't let the words rush out super quickly so that you're just incomprehensible. And it might feel like you're dragging, but probably not. Again, you've got those nerves really high, and if it feels like a snail's pace, there's a chance that you're doing just fine. Now, I'm actually going to move my notes here. So I told you not to have a script, not to have rely too heavily on notes. So this is kind of one of those not as I do sort of things. But I'm going to say this is a slightly different. The rules are slightly different for me right now because I'm, this is going to be in perpetuity, and this is a recording and not a public speech on a stage or anything like that. That's my way out. It's my sneaky way, and not following my own rules. Which is really just me breaking rule number 5, which is be unapologetic. And this is something I obviously do. I apologize if I stumble over words. I tend to self-deprecate. But really all this does is call more attention to minor mistakes. It really slows yourself down and takes you off message. If you stutter, if you're nervous, if you think that you seem unprepared, although hopefully you're not, don't apologize. You're human. And your audience will forgive you without being asked to. Read the room. I have no room to read right now. You're a bunch of faceless folks on the other side of the YouTubes. But if you're speaking in front of an audience, you need to really pay attention to them. Make eye contact. That was creepy. If you sense boredom, this is where your preparation is actually going to pay off. Have a way to speed things up or spice things up to really keep the listener engaged without losing track of your message. If they laugh, let that moment breathe. If they cry or shriek, same advice. And really, you should know your audience ahead of time before your speech in order to minimize any surprises and kind of deliver what is appropriate for them. Number 7 is keep it short. Don't go over time. Respect the schedule, the event that you're at, and be prepared to speed up, like I said before, in order to avoid going over. Don't stray off. You practice. You have your notes. You should be able to deliver very says or ums or anything that might knock you off track from moving ever toward your conclusion. Really, less is more. Final 3 are kind of a list within a list. They say that with public speaking, you should do 3 things. You should tell the audience what you're going to say, then tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. It's kind of funny, but it's just really a way of driving your point home. So here's how you do that, starting with number 8. Catch them early. And you want to grab attention right away. This can be with a joke or a statistic or a fun factoid or whatever it may be. Anything memorable that really can tie into your larger speech. Now, earlier when you created your outline, you should have really landed on a thesis for what your talk's going to be about. And you should use this time early on to, in a grabby sort of way, lay out what that thesis is, or give a preview of what your theme is, or what you're really going to be talking about, what your core point is going to be. There you can drive into the details. So when you're in the muck, you're in the meat of the speech, keep it interesting with number 9, tell a story. A string of cliche phrases, mind-numbing facts and figures, these do not a compelling speech make. You should really tell a story, whether it's your story, personal or not, made up or not, but find a story from which your audience will be able to connect to the real message of what you're talking about. You can utilize humor or other emotions as appropriate, and it'll be really easy to do this because you're getting kind of personal with your audience. And this is where you need to remember to, again, to read the room. And your story should really stick in people's minds and, again, drive your point home. And so finally, number 10, keep them wanting more. I know that's how you're feeling right now. You're thinking, man, this webinar could go on for hours and I would still be watching. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to hopefully keep you wanting more. So when you close it out, you gotta just keep that audience begging. You gotta be like Pearl Jam. Don't come out for that 3rd encore. Just like keep it at 1. And we still love you, Eddie Vedder. It's like, it's cool. You can do this by posing a question that maybe you don't bother providing an answer to, or really like call the listener to take action themselves. You want to reiterate your thesis as concisely as possible and then end it right then and there. I heard this story about this famous author who would You know, beginning to the end of writing a novel and write that last sentence, look at it, read it, delete the last sentence, and call it good. That is not necessarily the best advice for any speech, but what I like about that story is it really, you know, it would encourage you to leave a certain amount of tension in your talk. Excuse me. I have a cotton mouth because I'm kind of a nervous public speaker, but you want to leave that tension in your audience so they feel like they didn't quite, they didn't quite get that resolution, and now they want more. They're gonna keep thinking about it, and that's a great way to end it in order to stay in people's minds a lot longer than the 50 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it may be to them. Again, I'm Marcus Penny, Digital Engagement Manager. My information will be in the description below if you have any questions. And that was my 10-minute webinar with 10 key points for talking good. Thanks.